Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at Gaff decks. What are Gaff decks, where can you get them, and we're going to be looking at one Gaff deck in particular, which is the Ultra Gaff deck. I believe this is the best Gaff deck around that you can buy, just because the cards that are included in it are so creative, so many different effects you can do with them, and the reactions I've got using this pack are some of the best I've ever gotten. So I'm going to be taking you through this deck card by card, literally showing you all it has to offer. So if you want to see that, I'll probably leave a timestamp in the description of when the section of the video that bit's in starts, if you want to skip straight ahead. But just for those of you that don't really know what a Gaff deck is, because certainly when I started out, I wasn't aware that there were these Gaff decks around. Didn't know what they did, what they were for. For those of you that want to know a bit more about that, let's very briefly explain. So obviously you have normal decks, 52 playing cards, 2 jokers. Those are normal packs, you play cards with them and all that stuff. Gimmick decks are very different. Gimmick decks are purely for Magic basically, and what it is, this deck I think it has 56 gimmicked cards in. It's a fully gimmicked deck. So an example of some of the cards, obviously I'll show them all in a minute, but an example is like the Ace of Spades, but instead of being a regular Ace of Spades, the spade in the centre has been sort of wiped off the card, so it's spadeless basically. So for example, what you might be thinking, oh, what use is that? What's the point? For example, you could get a normal Ace of Spades and then get the gimmick card, put it behind it, do an earn ace change, and it looks like you've pulled off the spade from the card. You know, that's a really powerful effect for the spectator because spectators aren't aware that these cards exist really. So you've got to bear that in mind when you're looking at these cards. So if you can build tricks around them, and many of these were designed with specific tricks in mind, this you can create some really like miracles you can do with these, because the possibility that you have specially like done cards, it doesn't. You know, as magicians, we often think, oh, that's really obvious when you know how it's done. But for a spectator, the thought doesn't really occur to them a lot of the time. So gimmick decks are something which magicians can exploit to create absolute miracles. So that's what a gimmick deck is, that's what they're used for. But we're now going to take a look inside this card box, and we're going to look at every single card basically, just to give you a breakdown of what you get for your money when you buy a gimmick deck, whether it be the Ultra Gaff deck or another one. So with that being said, let's get into it. So here is the Ultra Gaff deck. It was created by Daniel Garcia and Wayne Houchin. As you can see on the box, it comes from Illusionist, as we can see on the bottom. If you've never heard of Daniel Garcia and Wayne Houchin, they're two of my personal favourite magicians out there. Daniel Garcia in particular is one of my favourites, just because he's such a funny guy, and the way he incorporates sort of comedy into his effects is pretty unique. I haven't seen many other people that are as funny as him and as good as sleight of hand. He's just an all-round amazing performer. Give them both a YouTube if you've never heard of them. Give them a search and watch some of their effects. But they collaborated to create this deck of cards, this Gaff deck, the Ultra Gaff deck, and the clues in the name basically. It is the Ultra Gaff deck. It's the best one I've come across. One of my favorite decks that I own. Just because there's so much you can do with it. You can see that the box is pretty battered on my version of it. See how it's pretty battered on all the edges? That's because whenever I go out and I know I'm going to perform, this is in my pocket pretty much, because there's so many different effects. 56 Gaff cards I believe, and if you take this with you on a night out, you will never run out of tricks to do. There'll never be a moment, you know, when someone suddenly says, oh, show me something, and you have that sort of where your mind just goes blank. You ever had that? Happens to me sometimes. But when you have this on you, you know that you can pull out anything you want. That's how good this really is. But that's enough talking about the box. I'm not going to go into the intricacies of what it says. I'm not one of those. We're just going to get straight and stuck in and have a look at these actual cards, because that's what you guys are interested in, right? Alright, so I'm just going to pretty much go through the deck, just show off some of my favourite cards, some of the more interesting ones. Some of them are just pretty standard gimmick cards that you'll have seen in other places, but some of them, like this one on the top, are really cool, and there's specific tricks that you can do with them. If you'd like to see some performances of the different effects that you can do with this deck, tell me in the comments section if any cards in particular you want to see the trick that they can be used in, and I'll upload a performance maybe of me doing that effect. But pretty much I'm just going to go through and give you a brief rundown of what the deck includes. So starting off, we've got these two cards. These are two of my favourite cards in the pack, probably some of the two that I use most often, because these can be used together to perform a particular effect. What happens is you force the 7 of spades on someone, you then take an ace of spades and apparently pull off the spade in the middle, okay, using this Gaff card, and then you have the spectator hold that spade and sort of slap it on the deck or something like that. That's what I usually do, and suddenly it appears on the back of their 7, and it's just a really cool way of finding a selected card. Moving on down, we next have just a standard blank card, and then we have this, which is really cool. These 4 can be used together. What these are is you get 3 kings which don't have kings in them, so the kings sort of escape. You can see there's no kings on these 3, and then suddenly you show this 4th one, the king of spades, where all the kings are all together in one card, which is pretty cool. And then you can flip over and show their swords are all in the back there as well. So that's a really cool effect. I believe it's not one I perform very much, it's just not really a trick I've ever done, but I believe what you're meant to do is you have the 4 normal kings, and then sort of one by one these 3 vanish, and then that's sort of the finale, revealing where they are. It's again a very creative trick you can do with these cards. Moving on, we have these 2, which are normal on the face, but on the back, instead of a normal back design, they have a wallet design. So what you would do with these is you place one in your wallet, and you can show your wallet to be empty at the beginning of the effect, and then later on you force the 5 of hearts on them, and your wallet's on the table. You lose it in the pack, snap your fingers, and reveal the 5 of hearts in your wallet by opening the wallet the other way. So it's sort of like a card to wallet choosing a gimmick card, and you could perhaps swap it out for a regular 5. Next up we have these 2, again normal on the face, but we have sort of angels on the back where they sort of the wings like spread open. Next we have these 2 cards, which along with the first 2 I showed you, I use these two a lot as well. What happens is you have obviously on a regular bicycle card you would have, see if we've got any here, on a regular bicycle design you see you've got the 4 angels in the corner. So on this one what you would do is you can move the angels about. So you move the top angel down to the bottom, so you can see there's 2 angels down there now. Then you say to the spectator, oh, just can you hold your hand like that and grab hold of the corner, and then you pull the next one down. So there's 3 in the corner now, 1 there. And then you swap this gimmick card out for the next one, which is this one, and all 4 are collected in one corner, and then you can show that off to them, and just a pretty cool effect once again. Next up we have this card, which is a 10 of spades, 6 of diamonds together on one card. So perhaps you want to force these to 2 spectators, merge the cards together, and you'll end up with this. These 2 are pretty cool. Again, these are used for a colour changing deck routine. So you would have a red deck and you change it to blue. So you start off by having your thumb like that, and then you reveal slowly, you get the blue on there. And the next one, I think you would just do sort of an ace change and scratch off a bit more blue like that. And then the next one you would just transition into the full blue pack. So this one's pretty cool. What you do is you force the 8 of clubs on someone, and then you mistakenly ask them if the 9 of spades was their card, and they say, oh, it wasn't, and you look like you got it wrong, but then you colour change into this card, usually a shapeshifter, and it looks like the ink sort of spread out of it on the 9 of spades, and then you give this a wave, and it looks like the ink has dried again into an 8 of clubs reveal. Moving on to this next card, which is a King of Hearts gimmick. What you do is you force the 8 of clubs on someone, and then you reveal the King of Hearts as their card, and you get it wrong, and you say, oh, hold on a minute, can you grab hold of that corner? The spectator holds on to that, and then you sort of tear off, it looks like you rub off the ink on this corner, and you get an 8 of clubs reveal. Again, very cool reveal gimmick there. Next up is another one of these 2 cards in 1 gimmicks. Maybe you want to force both of these cards, or you could do the same as those 2 previous, sort of get it wrong and colour change into the correct card. Just open to ideas really what you could do with that and make it your own. So these 2 are quite cool. You have one which matches the front of a rider back deck of cards, and then you can transition into this gimmick on the front, which looks like you can grab the spade off the very front of the box. That makes for a very cool effect as well. So this one is just a green back card. You don't see many sort of green decks. So if you want to just have a spectator's card have a different back design to the other cards, you can use this green card for that. So this one's quite fun as well. If you're performing to a few girls, you can use this Queen of Hearts gimmick. Looks normal, right? On the back, we got sexy coming out. That's sometimes quite funny to use when you're performing. Next, we have normal back design, and then on the other side, 3 back designs on one. So this can be used if you're sort of making it look like you can vanish a spread. So if you put another card with the same sort of thing. I need a normal back design, don't I? God damn it. Here we go. So you can make it look like you have a large spread of cards and shrink them, and obviously you have 3 cards. Obviously that wasn't the greatest example, but you can use your imagination to see what it would look like with some proper normal deck. I really like this card. I'm not really sure how to use it. I think it would make for a really cool effect. But you can see what it is, can't you? I can't really explain that. But again, a very neat card. Double backer, pretty standard with gimmick cards. This is pretty neat. It looks like the back of this card has really been rubbed on some really rough surface. It's quite worn away. So if you want to age a card or something like that during an effect, go ahead. More of these. Not really sure how to use them, but pretty cool gimmicks. So you can use these 2 gimmicks to make a really, really powerful effect once more. This is another one of my favourite tricks that this deck allows you to do. So what you have is you have a King of Spades gimmick, and you give this to the spectator. They hold onto the corner, and then you sort of pull off the sword. You see he's got no sword now. Okay, and then you put that down on the table, and then you force the 3 of hearts on them earlier in the performance. You take this sword, pretend my hand's the deck, you stab the deck like so, and then you spread through, and you'll find 1 card with a sword in the back, and then you flip it over, and the 3 of hearts has been stabbed right through the heart, which is pretty, it gets great reactions, that does. I really like performing that to people. Next up we have, do you remember the 4 kings thing earlier? You might have been wondering, oh, why did only the kings get that and not the queens? Think again. The queens did get their own version of this. It's just literally the same, just with the queens. Very neat if you can perform that trick. Now these 2 cards probably got some of the greatest reactions I've ever got with this gimmick deck, with cards from this gimmick deck. So what it is you have the Jack of Hearts on top of the pack, and you snap it, and it's meant to do a colour change, and then you reveal it hasn't really worked, and then you do a bit of sleight of hand and reveal the batteries in the back of the card like that, and then you say the batteries are dead, and then usually what you do is you sort of
you have batteries concealed in your hand under the pack, and then you do this little switch during the performance. Obviously it looks a lot better than this with a real pack. What you do is you get the spectators to hold their hands underneath the pack, and you can drop the batteries out of the pack into their hands. So they have 2 batteries in their hands, and then you turn over this and you see the batteries have gone from the card. So this is really powerful to do. If I ever get a chance to record me doing this to some people, I'll be sure to upload it because it gets amazing reactions. But again, really inventive, creative effects from Daniel Garcia and Wayne Houchin there. And then we'll finish the gimmick deck off with one of these. Any Gaff deck would be incomplete without a red-blue double backer to do Chris Angel's colour changing deck with. But that's it. That concludes the Ultra Gaff deck.
Alright then guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, favourite, comment and subscribe. And if you want to keep up to date with what's going on my channel, make sure to check out my Twitter and my Instagram. Links are down in the description below. As to where you can buy this, I do not think Illusionists sell it anymore, which is quite unfortunate because it's such a great deck. And obviously I've just shown it off so much to you guys. But if you really wanted it, I'm pretty sure you could find it online somewhere, whether it be eBay, Amazon might have it, I'm not sure. Do a bit of searching around, I'm sure you'll be able to pick it up. If not, there are other gimmick decks out there similar to this. I think there's one called like Army 52, I think it's Justin Miller's, might be, I'm not sure. I've seen that looks quite good. And one came out recently with Eric Jones, Daniel Madison, and I want to say Kayla Morelli, but I think I'm wrong. I don't know. But if you search around, you'll find loads of these gimmick decks. Some of, they'll have different cards inside which allow you to do different effects. I don't know what words out. But you're getting the basic idea from that about what it's about, what the cards are like, how powerful the tricks are with a lot of these effects. So take a look online if it's something you're interested in. Pick one up. I would highly recommend picking a Gaff deck up because it just opens the door to so many new effects. You might think they're a bit expensive. I think they could be around like £40, something like that, for a decent one. But honestly, I think it's a good investment. I would really recommend getting some. So I think that pretty much rounds everything up, guys. Don't forget, I said in the last video, hit that bell down by the subscribe button if you want to be notified when I next upload. If you haven't hit the subscribe button already, it's right there. What are you doing? Give it a hit and you'll be notified when I upload. And if you haven't seen some of these videos or just want to see some more content, have a look at what I've got to offer. But as always guys, this has been Complete Deception, and I'll see you later.